Everyone is obsessed with building big quads and glutes, but almost no one is showing how to do the same with your hamstrings, which add a super cool 3D look to your legs. I always think of Raccoon and Nappa from Dragon Ball Z. When your hamstring right under the kneecap is popping out, it has that sweep that you can really see when you're wearing normal shorts. And of course, when you turn sideways, whether you're relaxed, training, or even doing a side chest pose, you can see the separation between the quads and hams. The split in the middle with the meat hanging off is so underrated, because really, the hamstring is the bicep for your legs, aka the biceps femoris. So the way I compare it is like this. Imagine if you had massive arms, but the majority of your size came strictly from your elite triceps, yet your biceps were at a novice level. You'd have a big chunk of arm, yes, but it would just look flat. No bulbosity, no roundness, and especially when you do a bicep flex, nothing will bunch up, right? Well, that's kind of what most guys' legs look like. They got the overall size, the X-taper is there, usually developed quads and adductors, and if they completely turn around, you'll see the gorilla glutes popping out, but that's about it. If you pan the camera right at the kneecap, they look like they don't even train legs, especially if they're skipping calves. It's just the glutes that add depth, but you'll often see the pants sag toward the bottom of their legs, what almost looks like a Brazilian butt lift. They almost look like they have really high leg insertions, when in reality, this lack of development comes from not properly isolating. Very few lifters train their hamstrings really hard, which is a shame, because having developed hamstrings is essential for athletics, knee injury prevention, and overall leg aesthetics. Louis Simmons used to say that you should have a 60-40 quad to hamstring ratio, meaning your leg curl numbers should be similar to your leg extension numbers. See, a lot of guys have a complete imbalance where their isolated quad strength can literally be double their hamstring strength, and it shouldn't be that way. So if you're doing leg extensions with the entire stack, but your leg curls are near the bottom, you got a serious problem. You're increasing the chances of tearing a hamstring or hurting your knees. Plus, the legs look thin from the bottom, whether you're sideways or turned around. So you want complete fullness from both heads, and stiff-legged deadlifts and Romanian deadlifts won't do that. You must bend your lower leg, actively flexing. It's similar to squatting, where your quads and glutes work simultaneously, thus shutting off the rectus femoris. So the only way to hit it is when your hips are extended, like we see with leg extensions and sissy squats. Well, the same exact thing goes for the hamstrings. When the leg is completely straight and the glutes are involved, you don't work the lower hamstring. You must isolate. And luckily, it doesn't take much to fix. Trust me, I learned the hard way. I had an elite deadlift for my body weight, and my hamstrings were one of my worst body parts. I've also referenced my man Justin Lee, who I personally witnessed deadlift 700 pounds at my gym on a shitty barbell. He wasn't peaked, he just came in and crushed it, yet his hamstrings were literally his worst body part. It's a real problem, and that's why I strongly encourage novices to isolate their hamstrings. If you take the minimalist route, you're going to regret it, just like we did. So at the gym, the best exercise is going to be the seated leg curl, because you can train your hamstrings in the lengthened position and have maximum stability from all ends. You can be a little bit crunched in, you got the pad from the top, there's no active insufficiency, and the progressibility is high. You can build the majority of your mass from this one exercise, which recent studies also support, and biomechanically it makes sense. That said, you can also mix in the lying leg curl as a variation, particularly if you're stalling on the seated version. Both have their place, and some lifters actually do prefer the squeezing sensation, especially if the leg curl machines aren't built well. For athletes, the glute ham raise is a good choice, because you can raise and lower the height and even adjust it horizontally. Plus, your feet are flat, and you have stability from the ankles, the feet, and even the quad, since the pad is rounded. It's a good intermediate lift, and you can build some pretty beefy hamstrings with it. As for banded leg curls, it won't build much size, but it can help with knee health, similar to high rep band pushdowns. So you should do those, but know that it's not enough. Which leads me on to the number one option. It's what most home gym guys should consider, Or if you're already really strong at glute ham raises and seated leg curls, you just want to challenge to go even further beyond. The final level up, which is interestingly the unconventional route, achieving the Nordic leg curl. I truly believe that it's the greatest hamstring exercise in the world because it bulletproofs your knees like nothing else and has the most data backing it up. There have been studies proving its effectiveness, that it helps reduce long-term knee injuries. It even helps with starting strength and leg drive for sprinting. It has also been made popular through the Knees Over Toes guide, and he has thousands of testimonials. So whether you're going the science or anecdotal based route, it's gonna work. So if you're an athlete who wants a long career, this will do it. Martin St. Louis being a shining example of this. He's able to do dead stop reps from the bottom, thus keeping him in the NHL way past his prime. The Nordic leg curl also hits your hamstrings in the lengthened position, the most hypertrophic part of the lift, with your entire body weight. Even though it's comparable to a lying leg curl from a movement pattern perspective, in this case being closed chain versus open chain, the strength curve is completely different. So if you analyze the leverages, it's essentially a preacher curl. The hamstring is the bicep of your lower body, remember, and your torso is your forearm. Your feet are anchored and you are lowering your torso, to which when it is parallel to the bench, both levers are being magnified simultaneously because at 90 degrees, force is greatest. So the tension is highest at the bottom. And as you get closer to the top, it's lighter. Guys, this is the exact strength curve you want for hypertrophy. And it's also why almost no one can do Nordic curls. They are extremely difficult, almost too much. This is why this exercise is not popular and probably never will be. And it's probably why this video will underperform. The masses don't want what's hard. And that's why the glute ham raise was invented, because people need the thigh support to make the levers easier at the bottom. That's basically what you're getting. You're making your body shorter. Therefore, the Nordic leg curl is the best bodyweight hamstring exercise, hands down, on par with the seated leg curl, if you can successfully work up to doing them. And let me tell you, when you're repping your body weight, you can max out any leg curl machine on day one. The carryover is automatic. Then if you go try glute ham raises, it'll feel like an easy regression, because just getting one rep is an elite achievement. Again, most people watching this video will never do it. Not because it's unrealistic, but because it's extremely hard. I can personally attest to this. It took me an entire year to learn this exercise. I'm not even doing this for regular hypertrophy work on the unassisted version. I'd like to, but it's a slow grind. I still have to go assisted to get my normal sets and reps in. That points to this exercise being goated. And just like the pull-up, once you get it, it stays with you. You are locking in your longevity. And honestly, you don't need anything else. This is the only minimalist take I have when it comes to leg training. I'm all about rotating variations to prevent overuse, but this is the exception. If you can do Nordic curls, you do not need any other hamstring exercise. It's that good. And just to say, back in the bronze and silver era, this is what the greats did to build their hamstrings, with sissy squats being the rectus femoris developer instead of leg extensions. That's exactly how I train as well. There's a long history here because the leg curl machine had not been invented yet. Guys would do barbell back squats, or even before that, deep knee bends, deadlifts, sissy squats, and Nordic curls. And the only leg curl that existed was doing it with these iron boots. So they're like these weighted slippers that would allow you to isolate your hamstrings. But they weren't that heavy and you were limited to higher reps. If they wanted real overload, they had no choice but to do Nordic curls. There was no other option. Guys had to hold their feet down. And so this exercise has been around for a long time. And it was a long-term commitment. This was the hard route. Eventually, easier options came around that were a lot more scalable for the average trainee, more standardized and more appealing. And everyone went for them, especially heavier, juiced up bodybuilders. By the golden era, guys weren't doing Nordic curls. But that does not mean the original exercise was bad. It has its con in that it's too difficult for most lifters, so nearly no one can do it, which is why it fell out of favor, but you cannot argue against the results. And then there's the setup, which could be annoying depending on what you have. You have to find something to anchor your feet down. Usually a low barbell and a rack with a pad, maybe a foam pad on your knees. And in the old days, there were no resistance bands, so you had to rely on negatives only and stack mats to get progressive range of motion in. So it takes a long time to achieve. I get that, but just because something is no longer popular does not mean it isn't S tier, which Nordic curls most certainly are. So it's really an accessibility problem, not a results problem. So with that out of the way, how about we discuss the best setup and training methods? My favorite option is anchoring your ankles with leg rollers. If your bench has that attachment, even better. Most people use it for decline sit-ups or Bulgarian split squats, but here you can do Nordic curls. And by raising the bench, you can now include progressive range of motion. For efficiency, this beats stacking mats, although it's technically less precise. You raise the bench up and down, done. That's what I recommend for programming adherence and basic angle standards like 85 degrees, 60, 45, and 30. 4 options before you eventually switch to flat or assisted, which should not be rushed and I'll get to in a moment. So all you will need is an adjustable bench to get your angles in and something to hold your legs down, like basic leg rollers, or you can strap your feet down on a bench with gymnastic rings. That's what I used to do. Or a Nordic curl strap, which can be attached right to your door for the most minimalist setup. There should be no excuses in this day and age. You could even go the desperate route on the lat pull down, although you might piss off some people. Regardless, if you're new to Nordic curls, I would strongly recommend starting at 75 degrees. You need to build tissue capacity and get used to that cramping sensation. So set the bench 1 notch down from the highest setting and do 2 sets of 5 to 8 reps, going really slow on the negative to build up your tendons. Plus the range of motion is so small that you're gonna wanna do this. Once you top out that rep range, that's when I recommend lowering the notch. The first setting will be easy for most people. The second, around 60 degrees, you'll feel the tightness more, but it's still doable. And then once you get to 45 degrees, so basically the halfway point, it gets pretty difficult and it hurts like hell. So resist the tendency to bounce off the bench. Lightly glaze the bench, almost like a t-shirt touch bench press, and ease out from there. You might be stuck at 45 degrees for months, but embrace the micro plus ones. Your hamstrings are still getting strong. Then you'll get to 30 degrees, which will likely be your plateau for most of your journey. Once that completely stalls, or you can do at least 6 reps for 1 set, that's when you can switch to the flat version, but always with some assistance. And I'm not a fan of negative only reps. I didn't get much benefit from that. So if you try to go into it right away, you will get face planted, trust me. So master 1 notch above flat, then make the switch to assisted, okay? Here, you can use very light reverse bands, like mini bands or micro mini bands. Choke them, don't double them. Or my favorite option by far, which will also have the best carryover because it doesn't really change the strength of that much, is using the cable machine for maximum specificity. The cable is a game changer and can still be done at home with a ghetto cable attachment that costs about $30. This setup mimics a $3,000 machine called the Westside Inverse Curl Machine, and it was Louis Simmons' favorite hamstring exercise.
Everybody tries to do a Russian leg curl. They go halfway down, fall on their face. You've seen it. Then you push yourself up. You know what? If you want to be great, you might have to spend a little bit of money. But people don't want to pay $2,500 to make a football team cut half their injuries out.
See, Louis acknowledged that Nordic curls, which he called Russian leg curls, were the best, but they were unrealistic for his heavyweight powerlifters. So he designed the inverse curl machine, which features chest support and foot support for unmatched stability. But it's also a bulky, expensive piece that none of you will buy. Plus, if you are not a heavyweight powerlifter on drugs, you can definitely work up to a normal Nordic curl. So use a cable machine and get yourself a tricep strap, or use 2 ropes, which you should already own for long head bias pushdowns. You want your fists low and close to your chest. Then you just use the cable machine to subtract your body weight. And I recommend starting with 50% of your body weight on a 2-to-1 pulley. So I personally started with 90 pounds. So what you'll discover is that if you lost that exact weight, you would instantly be able to do a rep. In my case, my day one would have to be weighing 135 pounds, which wasn't happening. I will be beyond contest shredded, like literally on my way out. The only way to get it was to build my strength, an extra 30 pounds of pure hamstring isolation strength. This way I can achieve it at a lean body weight in the 160s, which is what happened. So when you do this, you'll be shocked at how weak your hamstrings are. Even with the weight subtraction, it'll be less than what you could leg curl at the gym because this features the worst leverages possible. Remember, it's not a lying leg curl machine. So progressive overload happens by you lowering the pin, not raising it. And you ideally want to drop 5 to 10 pounds at a time. So each time you can top out 8 reps, go 1 pin down. And you'll get it every single time. Through this, it literally took me an entire year to go from the middle of the stack to the absolute bottom. So now that I gained this ability, I can slowly add plus ones, similar to getting your first pull-up. And it's an automatic high percentage. You can even do 1 set unassisted, then 2 sets assisted for the best of all worlds. Regarding the assisted version, even when you can do it unassisted for a couple of reps, if you want to favor higher repetitions, prefer extra stability, or want to make it easier in the lengthened position, like a mini spot coming out, and there's nothing wrong with staying at the bottom of the stack. Make sure to really control that negative and straighten out your legs as much as possible. Don't crunch your torso in to shorten the lever arm. Don't mimic what guys do on the laying leg curl machine where they prop that butt up. Embrace that final lengthening. Make your body long. You can make this similarly difficult to the unassisted version, but you have to use very light tension. If you want, you could even hold on to a plate while using bottom assistance, which is technically the same thing as doing it without help, but now you get a little bit of nudge. So it's similar to reverse bended hack squats, which also enable higher reps. And by the way, you can also set your flat bench to a decline angle, the toughest level imaginable. I'm probably gonna work up to that in the near future, going beyond flat, in which the same strategies apply. If you can get down that low, going flat will feel like a partial. So there's infinite progression potential when it comes to the angles and the tempo. So avoid fully flexed hips, keep them extended with an upright torso and thrust forward, exactly like a sissy squat. Lower yourself with your hamstrings. Keep everything straight, rigid, and aligned like a steel rod. That's how you blow up your hamstrings. But again, I must stress that this is a long journey. You're not gonna unlock the Nordic curl in a few months. It took me a full year of 100% specialization. No other hamstring work was performed. That's all I did, maximum specificity. Yet it was one of the slowest progressing exercises of my life. And if you're taller and heavier, it's gonna take even longer. So that's how I did it. And now I actually have hamstrings that flex and pulse like a bicep. I can feel the hardness and that 3D protrusion, which is what I always wanted. And if I compete again, you're definitely gonna see that on stage. So this one exercise changed everything for me. I did it the hard, old school way, the path least chosen. And the gains were out of this world. So don't waste your money on big, expensive machines. Just strap your legs on something and use progression range of motion followed by assistance. Then commit for at least a year. What I do know now is that I don't need to buy a leg curl machine. And if I do go to the gym, I can kill that thing, because what I'm doing now is so much harder by comparison. So that's a Nordic leg curl. It's significantly harder than a glute ham raise. It doesn't get tougher than this, and the results are guaranteed if you can work up to it. So I don't blame you if you don't want to go down this path, because it takes a really long time to master, but if you're training for life, you have all the time in the world, so why not? It was worth it for me, and it will be for you too. So don't give up, embrace the micro gains, and enjoy the process of bulletproofing those hamstrings.